Now we are going to look into how you can represent fractions on a line. Now here we have this line, it goes from 0 to 1. In fact, I'm not even sure if I need these arrows here. If they're there, it's alright. If they're not, it doesn't really matter. Now, if I see this line here, what we need to be able to do is to have some kind of idea as to where a fraction would lie in this line. Now I'll start off with an easy one. 1/2. Now I'll do 1/2. If we look at this line here, 1/2 would be exactly midway through it, so it'd be here. 1/2 will be represented on this line here, halfway through it. Okay. Now, that's handy enough. The next one I'm going to have a look at is if I could look at roughly, where do I think 3/4 is? Now, if we know this here is 0, this is the full one, 3/4 is bigger than 1/2, and if you can kind of try to split the line up into quarters, so let's say if I do it in red here, let's say that's 1/4, 2/4, 3/4, and that's the 4/4. So this line here would represent for me the 3/4. Okay. Now the next one I'm going to do, and I'm going to do it in green, is imagine if I have 1/3. Now 1/3, if you see here, I've no divisions I can divide evenly into 3. So for this one, I'm just going to rub out a few of the other lines there, just so I have a little bit more space to see it. Now, I know 1/2 is there. I know 0's there. I know 1's there. If I was to think about 1/3, I'd be talking about roughly where would I split this line evenly 3 times. Now, you're talking it'd be somewhere in and around about here, and then somewhere in and around about here. If I was to do it in thirds, that'd be about 1/3 of the way there. That'd be 1/3 of the way there. That'd be 1/3 of the way there. So this point here would roughly be 1/3. Now, that is how we estimate on a line from 0 to 1 where a fraction would roughly be. Now we could do even a little bit more complicated ones. Let's say if I had 11 20/3. Now that's quite awkward there, but if we think about it, 11 20/3, if you're thinking about these fractions properly, you'd notice that it would have to be somewhere around here. It's nearly half. It'd be somewhere around about there, 11 20/3. This is just one small thing that you have to be aware of, that you should be able to pick out a fraction on a line from 0 to 1 and have a rough idea of where that fraction is represented.